Hi, Grant Grizzlies. It's Miss Allie here again with Mr. V.
Hey, Grizzlies.
We're going to continue talking about the zones of regulation as we get ready to be back in building together in just a couple weeks here. So in our last video, we talked about the blue zone and the green zone. Today, we're going to talk about the yellow and the red zone, recognizing the different feelings you might have with the changes of being back together at school again, and the different tools that we've talked about with Toolbox that can help you work through those feelings. So the yellow zone is the zone where we recognize we're partly in control. Mr. V, can you tell us a bit about what that looks like?
Well, the yellow zone could look a little bit like kind of we're really nervous or we're anxious. Maybe we're like overly excited. Like, so if you're really excited to see your friends and you know we're supposed to keep 6 feet apart, it's trying to gain that control of not just running up and hugging them or something like that, right? That would be an example of that we're partially in control. You really have to slow yourself down, think about what you're going to do, and then you can act accordingly. So those are some of those feelings. What do you think, Miss Allie? Are you feeling at all anxious or nervous for the change?
Yeah, I definitely am. I am always somebody who, when there's big changes, my initial reaction is to feel nervous, is to feel a little anxious. It's very normal for you to feel a little nervous, a little unsure. And this is new for us. We haven't done a hybrid model of going to school before. So it's understandable that there's going to be feelings of nervousness and anxiousness. You guys have been hearing a lot about how to be safe this past year, living through the coronavirus pandemic. So maybe you feel a little bit nervous about coming back to school while that's still going on. And you know, the good thing is our team at Grant, all of our staff and teachers, we have been working really hard to make sure that the school is safe for all of us coming back to be together. That's why we're doing things where everybody needs to wear a mask when we're in school together. We have the 6 feet apart rule. We have smaller class sizes so you guys can be spread out more and be safe. So getting ready to go back to school, you might feel like, I don't know what to expect. And that's very normal. That's why we're doing these videos to talk with you about what that's going to look like. What do you think, Mr. V, might be something that students would feel a little bit stressed about with coming back to school?
Maybe just the change in structure. You know, that everything's going to be a little more structured and timed. I know that that's something that might be a hard adjustment. Could be just something that you're feeling nervous about or something that's different. I know that things that are different can be hard for the start. Remember when we all started CDL? That was different and hard for the start. And a lot of people have really adapted and now it's normal, right? Normal. But now we're having to change to a new normal. So it's going to be a little hard for a little bit.
I want to talk about some tools that you can use that will help you when you're in that yellow zone. A big one that's going to be really important while we're in-person learning is the personal space tool. If you remember, the personal space tool is that tool that says, I have a right to my space, and so do you. This one is very important because we're coming back to school knowing that we need to give each other 6 feet of space in distance with each other and making sure that we respect other people in their personal space.
That was a good point. I think it is important to not only recognize your zones and your feelings, but to be aware of what other people are showing you. If they look really tense or if they look really sad, you can recognize their feelings and you can also use tools to maybe help them.
Yeah, and that, just like you're talking about, that makes me think of the empathy tool, the ability for us to remember I care for others and I care for myself. This is going to be a change for all of us. We're all going to be getting used to some new routines, some new ways that we go about being at school. But the good news is we all get to be together. So it's going to be a lot of using our empathy tool, recognizing we can care for others and care for ourselves. Empathy, remember, means we can think about and consider how others feel about something, recognizing that their feelings are just as important as our feelings. So empathy might look like somebody might be feeling really nervous. Maybe one of your friends is having a harder time with getting used to the rhythm of being in school again. Empathy also looks like having that for yourself. Maybe you're feeling nervous about coming back. Maybe you're feeling nervous about what it's going to look like to be at school again. Have empathy for yourself as you get used to those changes, which you will. It's always just a little bit scary when it's new, but you always get used to it and always get to a place where it does get easier.
If you're feeling these feelings and you can't control that, and you can't use a tool to get yourself back, sometimes that's when you start getting pushed into the red zone. And that's when you are kind of out of control of yourself. You're angry, you're frustrated, you can even be upset in a way that is uncontrollable or red. So what might be some examples of red zone that you can think of, Miss Sally?
Maybe somebody gets to a place where they're really mad about something. Maybe you're mad because you don't want to be at school. Maybe you're the student who has really liked doing distance learning and you're mad.
You can be crying and be in the red zone. It doesn't mean you're in the blue zone. I've seen people like just feeling super frustrated and shutting down, where it's like head down and crying and they just can't really control. And there can be a lot of causes for that. But again, that's one where you would need, you maybe started frustrated in the yellow zone and weren't able to find a solution, and it's pushed you into that red zone. So maybe the work is just too hard. Maybe there's a time that the work is too hard and you recognize that at the yellow zone, but you didn't find a way to solve that. And now it's got you so frustrated that you can't control the emotions. Once you get to the red zone, a teacher may come and try to help you with that tool, like say you need a break. And I think that there might be some of those feelings that people are having about going back, like Miss Sally said, whether it's the change, whether they're so nervous that it's pushing them into the red zone. And so I'm not sure. You got to find that way to help. What are some ways to maybe help, Miss Sally? I know you probably have some good suggestions.
Yeah, I was thinking 2 tools that I think of that would be really helpful when we're in the red zone, because just like Mr. V said, a lot of times when we're in the red zone, it's hard for us to think about accessing those tools, but tools that someone else might help you access. The taking time tool, if you remember, the taking time tool is where you take time in and time away. It's your way of saying, I need space to myself, and allows you that time and space to work on getting to a yellow zone and then getting to the green zone. So taking time away, that might be something that a grown-up or somebody at school, one of the staff, teachers, tells you, I need you to use your taking time tool. We're going to take time away so that you can regulate your emotions, get to a place of calm. That's really the goal. We're trying to help you get to that place of calm. Another one is the breathing tool. If you guys remember, the breathing tool was the very first tool that we talked about, because that one is one that you can really use at any point in time. You can use them in the blue zone, in the yellow zone, in the red zone, any of them. But the breathing tool especially might be one that a grown-up asks you to do with them. I know when I've worked with students and they're really upset, I ask them to breathe with me. Because the breathing tool is how we calm ourselves and check in. Sometimes all we need to do is take some big breaths. Because Mr. V, what happens when we're focusing on our breathing?
It slows your body down. It slows your blood down. It slows your heart down. When it slows your heart down, that slows your blood flow down. It helps you take in more oxygen, so your brain is getting the proper amount of oxygen and blood circulation, and that usually helps you think more clearly. So it's important to use that tool. And I want to give you some advice moving into hybrid learning, that when you are feeling one of those feelings, don't just hang on to it. Get the help you need. If you're frustrated with the work, please ask. We would much rather you ask a bunch of questions than to get you to the red zone. Right? We're
going to be going through it together with you. We're also going through the change of leaving working from home, as we've been doing, to working at school again. So it is a change for us too, that we're all going to be experiencing together. And just like Mr. V said, when you're feeling like you're starting to get from the yellow zone, maybe to the red zone, our job is going to be to help you work through those big feelings. So you're not going to be dealing with it by yourself. You're going to have us working with you. But sometimes when you're starting to notice you're getting into the yellow zone, remember you have tools. You have tools in your toolbox that can help you work through those feelings and get to the green zone again. Well, Grizzlies, we're going to go ahead and finish up this video. We're excited to see you in a couple more weeks. And next week, we'll be talking about the core four, remembering as we're getting ready to go into hybrid learning. So we'll talk to you again in a week. See you later, Grizzlies.